I'm going to be sharing with you in this video the easiest way to overcome fear that nobody talks about, in my opinion, because the truth is that what I've noticed in my own personal experience overcoming my own fears, and also noticing how other people overcome their fears, is that what most people do is that they unconsciously feed energy to the reality that they do not want to be experiencing. Now, this is a problem because what's happening is that we believe that we're overcoming our fears, but sometimes what we might be doing is that we might be actually feeding energy to the exact thing that we don't want, and it doesn't help us progress or get anywhere. In fact, it does the opposite and just causes us suffering. And doesn't help us to progress into the people that we really want to be and to manifest the reality that we want into existence. And so in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you personally, in my opinion, the easiest way to overcome fear that nobody talks about, and how also people completely misunderstand, in my opinion, what it means to overcome your fear, and how they do so in an unconscious way, amplifying the reality that they do not want, and how to do the opposite of that so you can manifest what you do want in the most effortless way possible. That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. The easiest way to overcome fear that nobody talks about, in my opinion. If you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit that notification bell because I do post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video. Now, number one, before I go into what the method, so to speak, actually is, I want to share with you a quick little statement or a fact of the truth of existence. Just a truth of existence that if you take in fully, it's going to allow you to really manifest what you want in a powerful way, but also be sort of like a prerequisite to what I'm going to be sharing with you in a second here, which is that number one, lack does not exist. Okay, everything exists. And the reason why most people are afraid to overcome their fear and afraid to face their fear, and I'm going to talk about in just a little bit what that means, because I do believe that people have a big misinterpretation of what that is, and that statement can cause a lot of fear unnecessarily, in my opinion, because facing your fear has this sort of negative connotation, but we'll get to that in a second. But before we do, just understand that lack does not actually exist. Everything exists. Because the reason why most people are scared of anything to begin with, whether it's a fear of losing a relationship, or the fear of losing your money, or the fear of losing your house, or the worst fear of all that people have, I wouldn't say it's the worst fear of all, but relatively, the fear that controls most people the most is the fear of death, the fear of not existing. Now, one common fear that people have as well is the fear of not getting something that they want. Whatever the case is, most people are afraid to overcome their fears and not live into the fear and just simply live into what they want from a space of non-resistance, because they believe that these things can happen to them. But what if I told you that all these things that you're afraid of happening or not happening are based upon a core belief, a core paradigm that the person is running on, that lack actually exists? So all these other beliefs that they have are stemming from a core, deeper belief and a paradigm and a way of perceiving the world that lack can be a possibility. And if you really take in what I'm saying here, this is going to allow you to really overcome your fears and take what I say in the next part of this video in a much more easeful and effortless way, if you trust that you're allowed to be fearless, because you see that lack does not exist. Everything exists. So I want to start off this video, which I've been talking a lot about these topics in the last couple of my videos, for a good reason, because I want you to understand that everything exists. Anything that can exist does exist. Anything that will exist already exists in the quantum field of possibilities, in the everythingness, in the nothingness of all that is. So that idea that you have of something not happening, that of course exists, but understand that you have that fear because you believe that what you want might not exist, or you believe that you might lose something. But the reason you're afraid of losing that thing is because you are afraid that you might not get something else that might be better, for example. or just something. Like, you think that you can't always get what you want no matter what, without feeling like it's a sacrifice. We feel like that I'm gonna be missing something, or something is gonna be missing. So I need to overextend myself and take all this unnecessary action to make sure that I don't live into this fear. Now, what does this do? This actually, ironically and paradoxically, makes the person take action from a fear-based place, from that core false belief, and then they live into the fear that they don't want. So when people talk about like FOMO and fear of missing out, it's like, oh, I'm gonna make sure that I take all this action so that I don't miss out on this opportunity. What happens is that they miss out on the opportunity because they overextend themselves so much. It's like when you try to make sure that something doesn't happen so hard with so much persistence, you end up manifesting it into your existence. Reminds me of a story where I'm not going to tell you the story actually. I'll just tell you. It's basically where I don't remember what it was, but there's actually a story where somebody was like afraid of manifesting, like getting stung by a bee at their wedding or something like that. And they were so afraid, and then of course it ended up manifesting. They manifested it. Their whole life they were afraid of, on their wedding day, that they were gonna get stung by a bee. That was their worst fear. They probably did all the things that they could. I don't know the validity of this story, by the way. I think I heard it from like a family member when I was younger. I didn't even want to tell the story, but I already started telling it, so here we are. But the truth is that the story that I remember is that they were so afraid of manifesting getting stung by a bee. That's exactly what happened. And then what happened, maybe they were like, oh, I told you it was gonna happen. But you see, your beliefs create your reality. If you try to make sure that something doesn't happen from a space of resistance, fearing that it will happen, you're going to manifest that into your life. Now, if you're not afraid of it happening and you take action from that space of allowing, it's probably not going to happen. Remember, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. But before we get into how to let go of the fear, I just want you to keep in mind that you don't need to be living your life based upon some false beliefs that you are not enough, or that you don't have enough, or that lack is a possibility, because just simply not. It's just simply not a possibility. The only possibility is everything. Now, the idea of lack exists, but actual lack, it does not exist. It's simply not a truth. It's not a true statement to say that lack exists. The idea of lack exists, but lack does not exist. Now, number two, what is the actual easiest way to overcome fear that nobody talks about? I'm gonna share it with you right now. It's so simple, but people don't see the significance of this. You simply observe the fear in your body and you let it go instantly. See, what I want to share with you is Francis, really, is that all it is? It's just that obvious? Don't I need to do all these unnecessary structures to overcome my fear? No, you don't. That's why I'm recording this video. Because most people believe that facing their fears is a difficult process that requires a lot of resistance. But in fact, it is the opposite. The reason why I get so passionate about these videos is because once you see something about the way life works, all I want to do is just communicate it in the most powerful way possible for you to really receive what's happening here on this planet. Because what's happening is that when you believe you have to go through all this stuff to overcome your fear, it's not actually the case. What you really need to be doing is observing that resistance in your body and just let it go. And it's just that simple. That fear will not manifest into your reality, because remember, energy flows where attention goes. What I want to share with you in this video, which is an interesting perspective that I do not believe a lot of people have, they make spirituality sound very difficult and hard and, in my opinion, unnecessarily difficult, okay? What I want to share with you is that you don't need to face your fear or go in the direction of your fear as most people say. I completely disagree. I couldn't disagree more wholeheartedly than I am right now to say that you don't need to go in the direction of your fear. I'm just gonna say it. It's stupid, okay? It's a stupid way to overcome your fear. Because what's happening is that you are feeding energy all the things you don't want to happen, all the things you're obviously not resonating with. You're pushing all your energy in that direction and you're wondering why you're suffering. Of course you're going to suffer, whoever you are, if it's not you or somebody on this planet. What you want to do is simply observe that fear and ask yourself, do I have to feed this energy? No, you don't. You can just let it go. I call it the letting go muscle. You can just let it go instantly. You don't have to believe in your fears. You know that? You don't have to believe in your fears. You can simply stop giving it energy. You can stop giving energy to your fears. You can simply allow them to be the case. And then see that it's not the case. Because the case is that you're here in this present moment and that fear is not a real thing. It's not existent. It's not real. It's real in that moment based upon an idea of something that you're afraid of. But if you simply stop giving it energy, then it just doesn't exist. You wouldn't believe how much more amazing my life got. And the reason why I call it stupid and why I hesitated there for a second was because I created so much unnecessary resistance in my life, where I believed that I had to go in the direction of my fear to face it. And all I did was go against my own intuition and go against what I knew was the right thing for me to do. Because I was asking people for help, giving away all my power. Now, I forgive myself. See, because what happens is that if you resist the fact that maybe you did this in the past, that in of itself is still further amplifying the exact thing that you don't want. So be careful here. Don't blame your past self for perhaps making your life harder than it needs to be if this video is giving you some insights or hitting home for you. Because that judgment of, oh man, I used to judge myself so much, can't believe that what he's saying is the truth. That's still the same problem. That's the same problem, okay? Because now you're judging yourself for judging yourself. And that's a problem too. So what you want to do is don't judge yourself. And if you do judge yourself, if you have any resistance of any kind, simply let it go. It's that simple. I'm telling you, this can be that simple. You can simply give yourself permission to say, hey, I can just let this go. I don't have to believe in this. This isn't serving me. This isn't benefiting me. This isn't giving me any value of any kind. It's not helping me. Now, let me ask you this. Is it helping you to be in resistance? No, it's not. Is it helping anybody around you to be in resistance? No, it's not. It's not helping you or the others. Have you ever noticed that it doesn't help anybody else when you suffer? Have you ever noticed that before? Have you noticed that when you hate your life, it doesn't help anybody? And when you're trying to be the bold person, it hasn't really benefited you or anybody else in any other way, unless it was something you wanted to do. Not because you felt like you had to do it, you feel like you wanted to do it, and that's what we call unconditional love. So number 3, what I want you to understand is that you can allow this process to be as easy as possible. If you've been attracted to this video, I believe that you're spiritually connected to yourself in a certain way that perhaps most people are not giving you enough credit for, and perhaps you're not giving yourself enough credit for, because I do believe that there's a spiritual awakening happening on the planet, and that if you're in vibrational resonance with this content, you're at a similar level of frequency that I am also at. Not to say that it's good or bad, it just simply is the case. But with that being said though, one thing that I personally did not allow myself to do is to allow life to be as easy as possible. I literally would, for the longest time, underestimate my level of consciousness. And one thing that I'm realizing is that I'm here to help people also see that they're way more conscious than they realize. They're way more conscious than they're giving themselves credit for. And I want you to understand that you can allow yourself to trust in your resonance, not in your feelings per se, although it is quite, I guess you could call beingness a feeling if you want to call it that. But I want to make a distinction between your true resonance and unconscious patterns and feeding into a reality where you're thinking you're making it easy, but really you're suffering. I'm talking about true ease, true effortlessness, where you're totally in alignment with your highest purpose and your highest truth, and it is quite easy. Now, there's going to be discomfort sometimes. There's going to be challenges sometimes. In fact, it's going to be very uncomfortable sometimes. But my permission slip for you is to say that within that discomfort, within the things that are hard, you have full permission to make that as easy as possible. One thing that I used to talk about a lot that I haven't in a while, which I'm going to start talking about more of soon, is become comfortable as you can be with the uncomfortable. So this is kind of what it means to face your fears. So I'll give you an example. If you're afraid of something manifesting into existence, you don't go live into that to face your fear. Like if you're afraid of being homeless, should you go become homeless to overcome your fear of being homeless? No, that's stupid. That's what I'm trying to say, is that it's not stupid objectively, but it's stupid in the sense where it's like, okay, well, obviously you don't want to be homeless, and you could overcome that fear in that way, but it's not about you don't have to go be homeless to prove to yourself that you're not scared of it. That's the way I used to think. It's like, oh, I need to prove to myself that I'm not scared of this thing, and I need to go do it. When I knew I wasn't scared of it, I was just living into a reality that I don't want to live into because I wasn't trusting myself. Can you relate to this? Leave a comment down below. Of course you can, because reality is a reflection in a lot of ways, and so you're probably attracted to this video to learn something based on what I've learned, and that's why you're here. And so if that wasn't the case, you probably wouldn't be watching this video still, and you would have left by now. And if it's not resonating with you, maybe you'll click off the video in a second, and that's okay too. But anyways, what is important for me to communicate to you in this video is to see that you can allow your life to be as easy as possible. Give yourself permission to be as easeful as you can be. And you'll notice that this is how you overcome your fears, is that you will look at the fear, oh, maybe I'm afraid of being homeless. Maybe this is gonna happen. Don't take action because you're afraid of that happening. Simply let it go. Just let it go. Just test it. Can you let it go? Francis, how do I let it go? You just let it go. I don't know how to tell you how. It's not a conceptual thing. Notice your shoulders right now and release the tension in your body. Just do it. Just release your body. Release the tension. Relax. It's like, right? You just relax. Or it's not even, you don't have to really sigh. You just release the tension. It's not even an emotional thing with your voice. Your body just simply eases. Now let me ask you this. How did you do that? How did you do that? Francis, I don't know how I did it. I just did it. Exactly. In that same way, just let go of the fear. Just let it go. You don't have to believe in it. It's that simple. It's just that simple. And when you realize how simple it is, you'll look back at your life and facepalm yourself, because you'll be like, holy shit, I made my life so much harder than it had to be. Now, you don't want to step into that too much, because that in of itself can create more resistance. So be careful with that. But just understand that you can make life so easy. It can be that simple, just to say that I don't have to believe in this fear. Do I want this reality? No. Simply let it go. And it's just that simple, because you're already in non-resistance to the present moment, most likely. So what you want to do is just focus on what you want. It is that simple. Life can be that simple, but are you giving yourself the permission to allow your life to be as epically, amazingly possible as it can be? Or do you believe, for whatever reason, that life has to be difficult and hard based on whatever belief systems you've picked up upon the way of, like, along the way of your upbringing, so to speak, or the way you've been brought up? You got to be conscious of where you believe life has to be hard, because this is what's stopping you from manifesting and overcoming your fears in a simple way. Like when I have a fear now, I just let it go, and there you go. I overcame the fear. I overcame the fear by just not believing in it. That's how you overcome your fear, is you stop believing in it and you stop giving it energy. It's that simple. And then by the time you're in that reality that you want, that fear doesn't even exist anymore. That's not even on your mind. The reason I get passionate about this is because I believe that we in society create so much unnecessary suffering, so much pain. So much pain that's just not needed. Your life can be easy. You can manifest exactly what you want, and it doesn't have to be hard. And if you apply these 3 things in this video that I shared with you, I do believe that you can overcome your fears in the most simple and easeful way possible. That's all I have for this video. Leave a comment down below if this resonated for you. And if you've had any past experiences resonating with this, kind of like I did, where I realized that life was so much harder than I thought it, I made my life so much harder than it needed to be. Leave a comment down below if you had any similar experiences, and if any of the points in this video hit home for you. Also, please hit that like button so that more people can get access to this content, because I do believe that every single person on this planet does deserve to know that they can manifest and create their reality, and that they can do so in the most effortless and easeful way possible. Hitting the like button does help the YouTube algorithm push the channel, and it does grow it, and it does help more people to get access to this very valuable content, in my opinion. Also, once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, hit the link that's in the description box of this video. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next